PNP restrictions and program pause. That is what the main subject for today's video. PNPs are really I wouldn't say shutting down, but you are seeing a lot of restrictions. You are seeing a lot of programs being paused, a lot of programs primarily closing doors. Prince Edward Islands, as I've been talking to you about that, so let's start with that one. They have reduced their intake by 25%, and they have restricted sales and service sectors, and they will now prioritize healthcare, trades, and childcare. These occupations for the remainder of the year for the remaining PNP intake. So that's the Prince Edward Islands. New Brunswick, they will be pausing their invitations to apply. So what was happening in New Brunswick is that if you have completed your education in New Brunswick, you could apply through the student connection stream. If you were working in New Brunswick and you had a job offer from your employer, then you could apply under the employer connection stream. All you had to do was create your expression of interest. The province would send you an invitation. Of course, you had to be eligible in express entry as well. That is how easy it was. So obviously, a lot of people are going to be very upset with New Brunswick as well, because, hey, overnight, they changed this because they will no longer be accepting, or rather, they are accepting the expressions of interest. They are not saying don't apply. They're not saying don't create your expressions of interest. It's just that they will not be sending out any invitations effective 17th of May, which was yesterday. Yukon has paused their PNP program for 2024. So for the remainder of the year, Yukon is saying, I will not accept any more applications. Why? Their allocation for this year is only 483 nominees. They have more than 600 applications. They received already, I think, about a month or so back, and they are continuing to get more applications. So they've raised their hands up and they said, we have processed so far only 100 applications, 107, I think, and we just cannot accept any more. So for the whole remainder of this year, for 2024, they have paused. They are not accepting any more applications. So if you are thinking of going to Yukon, well, tough luck. It's not going to happen. Nova Scotia, earlier this year, they temporarily paused accepting applications from food and accommodation industry occupations. So if you were thinking that you would go to Nova Scotia, because a lot of people were saying, a lot of people were making these kind of videos as well, right? That's how more people were encouraged to go there. That go to Nova Scotia, get your first paycheck, have the employer support you, sign the NSNP 200 form for you, and apply under the skilled worker. Like this, you will get through with the PNP, etc., etc. Obviously, a lot of people were encouraged. They made that change. They made that move. They went to Nova Scotia. Unfortunately, Nova Scotia stopped accepting those program streams because obviously you can imagine there are so many candidates who apply through these streams because these streams are so popular. Whether we like it or not, the number of people who work in this segment or this sector of the industry, the food services, the retail services, the accommodation services, it's a very large number of international students and postgraduate work permit holders who are working in this sector. And because of the sheer number of applicants who are applying through this sector, I guess Nova Scotia had to at some point of time put their feet down and say, okay, we can't take this anymore. So that was Nova Scotia, which temporarily paused it. British Columbia, though there is no pause or there are no changes for this year, but they have already announced changes to its international graduate and international postgraduate stream. Now, in the current process, the international postgraduate applicants from 7 different fields of education from designated universities in British Columbia, the minute they complete their masters, they are eligible to apply for nomination directly. No scoring, nothing, apply for nomination, right? British Columbia has now said that starting January 2025, which basically means even if you're a student who's studying right now for your master's degree in British Columbia, you will be impacted. Starting January 2025, you will now need to obtain a job offer which is valid for at least 1 year. Okay, and only then you will be eligible to apply under the postgraduate stream. For the international graduate stream, you need a job offer for an indeterminate period. Only then you will be able to apply under the international graduate stream. So changes happening there from British Columbia. Ontario is apparently Ontario is the only one which is pretty all right. They've been pretty cool so far. Their nomination allocations, everybody else pretty much stayed the same. Ontario's nomination allocation went up by 5,000 nominations. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, what they did, and what they were looking to do, but they went up with their nomination quotas, nomination allocation, which is pretty cool. So far, nothing from Ontario. Ontario has been going great guns. They have been conducting their draws pretty regularly. I mean, I know a lot of you are expecting and anticipating the draw to happen every few weeks, every month. Why is there no tech draw? Why is there no healthcare draw? Why is there no master's draw? You guys need to keep into consideration. You should take it into consideration that Ontario has a lot of streams, and they obviously need to balance out who they are allotting, who they are assigning, who they are inviting under which specific stream. So, don't expect that the stream that you are interested in is going to happen with a lot of regularity. It doesn't work like that. So yeah, if you're eligible, just have patience. At some point of time, Ontario will start conducting their draws. I mean, they're already conducting their draws. Your turn will be up next soon. Saskatchewan has updated their excluded occupation list. Now the list is too big, and I really couldn't make out how many of them were excluded, but you can take a look. For all you know, your knock code hopefully is not there. But yeah, just take a look anyways. But Saskatchewan hasn't been conducting too many draws, right? You haven't seen too many draws. You know why that has not been happening? What Saskatchewan has been doing is very coyly, very candidly, people who have been applying for jobs in Saskatchewan, mainly through Sask Jobs, SASK jobs.com. So if you were applying through the portal, through the PNP portal's employment page, Saskatchewan has been very candidly shortlisting candidates in those from those people, and then they have been sending them interview invitations, and then they have been interviewing those people virtually. And if these candidates meet their conditions and requirements of education and work experience, then those candidates are getting invited directly. So there are no draws happening, because when we identify a program, people start figuring out loopholes, workarounds of ways to, and I hate to say these words, but to cheat the system or to game the system. People do it all the time, right? And provinces learn, provinces understand, the officers understand, and then they get stricter and stricter. Saskatchewan over the years is now one of the strictest provinces when it comes to adjudicating their applications or assessing their applications. Okay, and then they have figured out, in spite of all that, people tend to do what they have to do, and they have now figured out a different way of doing it. So now they are shortlisting people, and then they're identifying these people based on their market demands, based on their labor market priorities, and they're interviewing them. Only once they are satisfied during their interviews, after having validated their education and work experience, they are then inviting them. This is mainly healthcare so far. We have seen a bit other jobs as well. A couple of our candidates were invited as well. So we know from them what exactly is going on and how it has been happening. So that's Saskatchewan for you. They have not been conducting the regular draws that they were doing earlier, that they were conducting earlier. You have seen a sporadic here and there kind of a draw, nothing regular from them. Alberta, earlier this year, they created a big uproar when they paused their Alberta opportunity stream. Now, very, very popular stream. People would get their LMIAs, work there for some time, and then apply under the Alberta opportunity stream. Or students who are completing their education in Alberta and then continuing their work experience in Alberta. This was a favorite program because, again, no scoring, nothing. You are eligible, you apply. And then Alberta realized they have more than 5,000 applications in process, in the queue, and they just couldn't keep up with the processing queue, and it was just getting overwhelming. So they put a pause on the Alberta opportunity stream. It is understood that whenever they will reopen the stream, there might be some changes to the criteria. It might go, I don't know. It might go the scoring factor way, because how else do you make it fair for everybody around you? They also introduced the employer criterias, which earlier were not there. Now the employer had to follow a criteria if they were going to, whether they were providing a job offer. So basically, if you were applying under the tech pathway and you had an employer, now you needed some additional documents. You had to have them fill up a form. The employer has to basically have $400,000 as their annual income. They have to be in business for 2 to 3 years. I think it's about 2 years. I don't remember. I think 2 or 3 years. They have to have certain number of employees. They have to have physical office, etc., etc. So more criterias came into play. This is what happens when people game the system one too many times. Then you see more criterias and conditions. But whenever the Alberta opportunity stream reopens, I guess the employer criteria will also apply at that point of time. But as of right now, the employer conditions are applicable to everybody who is applying to Alberta. So as you can see, Prince Edward Islands, New Brunswick, Yukon, Nova Scotia, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and then Alberta. We haven't heard anything from Manitoba, but the Manitoba draws are so high that I don't know what to say there. British Columbia, again, the draws are so high because the number of invitations have been reduced, and they have started segregating more categories within their draws, right? The childcare, the healthcare, the construction. So you're seeing more draws in that aspect. Manitoba, there is nothing different so far. Everything remains the same, but the scores have really, really gone up. Other than that, the only other province that still hasn't done anything or hasn't changed anything, and that is Newfoundland and Labrador. I hope I've not missed something there. I didn't see anything on the Newfoundland and Labrador website, and I hope I don't jinx it, but that's the only other province that we haven't seen much from. But these are the restrictions and the program pauses that is happening across different provinces, making it more and more and more difficult in terms of the PR options and pathways. Thank you so much for joining in. It was a pleasure, and I shall see you again soon.